All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zeng This. I'm Zenger.
And I'm Ellie.
And we've got some current events to talk to you guys about today. Guess the biggest one, well, there's a big one, but the biggest one we're going to talk about first is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer.
Oh my gosh. I loved it.
So I'm going to preface this by saying, hashtag Baby Groot.
He was so cute.
I think they did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
He, apparently he is still being voiced by Vin Diesel.
Oh.
They're, once again, altering his voice a lot.
To make him sound
younger
or smaller,
tiny.
or whatever you want to consider it, yeah.
So that's really cool. There's a lot of stuff in this trailer. If you haven't seen it, definitely go out and watch it right now and then come back to listen to us. Or if you have watched it, just continue to listen to us because we're going to discuss some cool things we noticed in it. Had some of Drax being Drax in it, so that was cool. I didn't see any more of Yondu.
No.
We got him in the last one, but I didn't see him in this one. So apparently James Gunn has also pointed out that he's trying to not show too much in the trailers because he said that a lot of people, us and a lot of other people who do YouTube videos and podcasts, discuss too much and do a lot of speculation. So he doesn't want to ruin any of the movie for us by revealing too much.
Well, that's good. I like that.
So that being with that, I mean, we saw some Gamora stuff, which was really cool. Saw a lot more Baby Groot. We saw him in a tiny little Ravengers outfit, running through a base, screaming and throwing somebody around.
You can't have too much Baby Groot.
Him and Rocket having some interaction with this button will blow us up and kill us. I'm Groot. No. So that was a really cool interaction. And there's obviously some huge battle going on because it cuts the Star-Lord outside, like yelling in at them. And there's ships flying and there's a ton of stuff going on. But they really, to the best of my knowledge, haven't really revealed too much about who the enemy is in this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool that they're keeping that a secret. So I'm not going to speculate because Guardians of the Galaxy can pull from so many avenues. But one of the rumors I heard is it's not Adam Warlock, but it has something to do with him. Like the enemy has some connection to him. So that's interesting, and I guess we'll see where that goes moving forward. Staying on Guardians of the Galaxy, there was another trailer.
Yes.
For something that somebody, I'm not going to name names, talked about.
Maybe you're talking about the Telltale Games one.
Yes, and no gameplay.
They don't really show you anything, but it was still cool.
No gameplay, but the fact that it's Telltale
It's official.
That it says Guardians of the Galaxy and it says Telltale Games. That's as much of a trailer as I think I need right now because I'm in the middle of playing the Batman game. That is phenomenal.
I started that recently.
And you're probably enjoying it so far.
I am, yes.
They do such a phenomenal job that I can't wait to see what they do with this world. And I just had something pop in my head. I'm wondering if you get to play as Groot, where all of your voice options are I am Groot.
Oh my gosh.
And the funny thing is, this is just me speculating, the funny thing would be is all your options are I am Groot, but depending on which one you pick, they'll still respond with, oh, you're going to get that tone with me, or you're going to get that way with me, to where you're not really knowing what you're communicating.
Right.
I'm just guessing at that, so they might do it, they might not, but that's my quick little speculation on what they could do that I would really enjoy, because I think that would be really funny to have that in there. So we had another interesting trailer, a remake of sorts, featuring Tom Cruise.
Oh, yes.
So, and I know you're going to argue with me on this. I know it's an action movie, but when we watched it, I said, I'm betting you he's going to be running at some point in the trailer. And lo and behold, at some point in the trailer, Tom Cruise is running.
Can I make an obvious point out there, listeners?
It's an action movie, so yes, he's going to run. But I just feel like every action movie he's in, if there's a trailer, he's running really fast from something or towards something.
Well, it is an action movie,
so that looked interesting. I don't think anyone has been demanding a Mummy remake, but it would be interesting because, I mean, with everything being crossover now and intermingling with other stuff, they might be trying to set up a shared universe with the classic monsters like Wolfman, Frankenstein, and So that might be what they're going at. It might have been a rights thing. I don't know. So it looked like an action movie that Tom Cruise is in.
Yeah.
More so than a mummy movie.
I mean, as usual with other discussions, does it have to be remade? I mean, I really like the original Mummy. I mean, maybe other people don't.
Original Mummy, though, are you talking about?
The one with Brendan Fraser.
I just wanted to ask that because I know there is the old one.
Oh,
the
right,
older
okay.
ones that was a remake of. So this is a remake of a remake of a remake.
Right.
If I got enough remakes in there. Those were good. I felt like they kind of fell off.
Well, I was talking about the first one they did. I'm not talking about all the other sequels and spin-offs and all that. Just the first Mummy with Brendan Fraser. I liked that one.
I kind of like the second one too. I know has bad CGI with The Rock, but for the time it was something that was it's a fun B movie now, even though it was technically supposed to be a bigger budget movie. But now it would be a fun B movie to watch.
Right, I agree with you.
It would be something that if it showed up on the Sci-Fi Channel,
I'd watch it.
Yeah, and if it originally showed up on the Sci-Fi Channel, it's got about the same level of graphics and everything and CG done. So yeah, there's that. So we're gonna move into gaming now. We got a lot. The gaming's gonna be a huge chunk of this, but I want to hint at one more thing. Stay tuned to the end of the podcast because I'm sure you're thinking, oh well, wasn't there a huge crossover event with the DC TV shows? Well, yes, there was, but that's gonna be saved for the end of the episode. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, let's talk about
the PlayStation Experience Conference that just happened recently.
And, oh man.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. So, I guess we're going to...
Where do you start?
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to go with... This might as well have been the Naughty Dog press conference, too, because they had a lot of stuff to show. Biggest one out of the gate, I didn't even know they were working on this. The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, I was super excited.
So that one you've played a lot. You've played it a lot more than I have.
I played it all the way through, yes.
You played on both the PlayStation 3 and the
PS4.
The PS4 port of it as well. I need to play it. I haven't. I know. You're probably
crazy.
commenting. I promise I'll work on it. I promise I'll have it played and beaten before the new one comes out. So maybe that's some challenge I'll need to do in the next week or two. So that was really cool. Like I said, I haven't played it. You played it. So what were your thoughts on seeing that trailer?
Oh, the new trailer?
I mean, it didn't show too much.
Well, I mean, it gave me more questions than answers. I mean, with her sitting on the bed and singing and there's dead bodies everywhere and he kind of walks in and is like, hey, and I don't know. It was interesting. I can't wait to see more about it.
It looked like she had just gotten done with a fight.
Oh,
it looked like that person
obviously.
on the ground.
I mean, she still had blood splattered on her.
She had blood splattered on her. She had blood running down her face.
Yes.
So it looked like she had just gotten done fighting, and maybe she was trying to take a moment to play the guitar or
Well,
try to act human again. Because I know that I haven't played this game, but I know that these games are very much strip the humanity away from the characters.
Yes, totally.
So maybe
everything that they go through, definitely.
Maybe her trying to play the guitar after that was trying to grasp at what humanity she still had left.
When she clearly looks older.
Yes.
So I'm curious how far this is since the last one. Have they announced that?
I don't know. I kind of just watched the trailer. I haven't really looked too much into any backstory on it because I haven't played it. So this stuff relevance for me wouldn't be relevant for me for this particular game. So another game we got to see was one that you kind of questioned me about a little bit because you thought they were done with this series. And I said they might be done with the Nathan Drake storyline. They might be done with numbering them. And that game, of course, is...
Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
And who does that feature in the trailer very prominently? Because it's a gameplay trailer, so they got a lot of stuff in there they showed.
Chloe Fraser from I think the second Uncharted. In the third one.
Yeah, she's in the third one a little bit too, if I remember correctly.
And it looks really cool. I mean, it's it's an Uncharted game. I love them, and I'm not upset about having a new one.
So over-the-top set pieces, beautiful-looking game, and interesting story.
Yes.
But this is the ultimate question. If Nathan Drake's not involved, will the game carry without him?
I think yes, and the reason why is because the series has done such a great job of character development and really making you immersed with the characters. So I think if they would have gone with this series with a brand new character, maybe not. But since they're calling back characters from the older games and you've built a rapport with them, I think that'll be just fine.
Cool. Well, I think we got one more thing from Naughty Dog. And what would that be?
Are you talking about the insane Crash Bandicoot?
The Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. And that was an awesome trailer because it did the side-by-side comparison. And of course, I mean, obviously PS4 versus PS1.
Right.
But it
looks really cool, though.
Amazing. It is definitely a game that, I enjoyed playing as a kid. I didn't really get...
Did you enjoy playing it?
Yes.
Because I have horror stories of remembering playing... Well, actually, no. I'm going to say not as a kid. When I tried to play it as an adult, I think I would always overthink it too much. Because I would always fall in the hole or I would die so many times.
I enjoyed playing them. I never said I beat them or made it that far into them. So let me clarify that real quick.
Okay. It's crazy because I know they're supposed to be marketed for kids. And I don't know. It was insane for me sometimes of how hard I thought they were when they shouldn't have been.
So it was insane?
Yes, exactly.
All right. We're going to go on to talk about a interesting game series that we haven't seen an entry from in a while. And that would have been Ace Combat 7, which looked phenomenal, and those games have never disappointed on the side of looking amazing and
always
being
very pretty.
Very amazing games. It also showed that it would be VR supported as well.
Yes.
So that definitely is a game that would truly utilize that technology. As for the storyline, I know there's I feel like Ace Combat is the Metal Gear of flight simulators. That it's got this over-the-top story that if someone tried to explain to you, you'd sit there and they'd explain it to you and you'd be like, can you start at the beginning? You're flying a jet and then what happens? Because I know if I ever try to explain something to Metal Gear to somebody that's never played.
Yeah, it's impossible.
I have to have a wall covered in string with tacks on it, linking stuff together, and it still just looks crazy as all heck. So,
I mean, and for me, Ace Combat isn't for me, but I can see why there is the huge following.
It has a huge following.
And it's not that I'm saying it's a bad game. It's just I am terrible at flight simulators.
I've played them a little bit. It's just I'm not the best at that particular game, but I understand the appeal of it. So, a few other kind of quick announcements. Akuma is coming to Street Fighter V.
What?
So that was really cool to see him in there. Of course, he looks like he has a little bit longer hair with his character design. So he looked really cool. So that's awesome to have him joining that cast of characters.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be adding some other ones. I just know that one stuck out to me as one now. I was like, whoa. They're putting him in. So that's awesome. All right, so there was a game that they announced that I didn't even realize they were making a sequel to, but you seem to keep your finger on the pulse of that genre more so than I do. And that would have been?
Ni no Kuni 2.
And I know that's a game you previously played and that you
Yes.
enjoyed playing a lot. So just that's an odd name, so I'm sure people are like, what's that? So just give a quick little summary of what that is so people aren't like, oh, well, what was that?
Right. It is a JRPG. And it's a real-time, not turn-based.
Mm-hmm. So Kingdom Hearts sort of gameplay style, to where you're able to move around and you don't have to stand there,
right,
slowly bouncing up and down until it's your turn.
Right. It had really good art style. I just loved the art style. A nice switch between two different kind of two different worlds that you're going back and forth. Nice epic adventure. So I really enjoyed it. It was really good.
Awesome. Another one that I saw a trailer for that looked interesting was Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And that looks interesting because, I mean, you're in space or, in low planetary orbit fighting other giant ships. So it's basically like giant cruiser battles of flying ships in space or on, outer atmospheres of planets. That really looked cool, and that's not something I knew anything about. So that was kind of raised my eyebrow pretty high on that one, where I was like, that seems interesting.
Yeah.
So, and there's been another game that you've been talking about a lot recently that I know that you have a lot of interest in. They showed some stuff for that as well.
Well, I'm a sucker for a heroine and lead role for a female. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes, it does look. It looks like everything's been replaced with robots of some sort.
Yeah, it's
Now, if they can only transform,
and
I will get my Transformers topic one day. Trust me.
I'm sure you will. It's like it looks like the world is the way it was when it was first.
So it looks. Well, it shows a lot of rusted out. So it looks like humanity's kind of left the scene or isn't as prevalent anymore.
Right.
You see some windmills and stuff, so it's sort of.
But then you
Far Cry Primal set in the future.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's where there's giant beasts, but the beasts are actually robotic. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm very curious to dive into that and kind of figure out
what's going on.
Who is somebody controlling them? What is it for? Like,
you know what it vaguely reminds me of? Enslave.
Oh my, yes.
Yeah, it vaguely reminds me of that, even though that was a very heavy-handed interpretation of Journey to the West.
Yes.
Very heavy-handed. But I just wanted to point that out real quick, because it reminds me of that in the sense of, robotic animals, not in the sense of storyline or anything else.
Right.
So, moving on to another game that got announced that you're a fan of. This seemed to be very fan pandering to you for this for these announcements.
Well, it is PlayStation.
There you go.
Yakuza. I have enjoyed those games for years. Unfortunately, over here in the West, it takes a little bit of time to get them over. So a lot of these games have been over there for.
Or we don't even get the versions
Yes.
of them too. I know
Yes.
they've done some that we never even got over here.
And when they do get over here, this boils my blood a little bit, but they cut out content that they don't think us Westerners.
Oh, you were really angry about. Oh, what was it in one of them? Was it the It was the companion.
Yes,
It was the escort.
Yeah, they had
Was
this.
it escort?
I can't remember what it's called, but that's what it deals with. Yes, and they thought, oh well, the Westerners wouldn't really enjoy that part of it, and I'm like, no, don't make that judgment for us. I just, it's frustrating, but it's all good. But they are making Yakuza Kiwami. It's basically a remake of the first Yakuza.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's supposed to be like to the extreme. Like they're gonna have a whole bunch of. It's not just a
whole bunch of new
up-res.
content.
Yeah, it's gonna have
Cool.
new stuff with it. So I'm very excited about that.
So I'm sure a lot of people have been wondering why we haven't mentioned a big one that got announced. That you think a podcast covering comics, movies, and video games would have talked about right off the bat. So we're going to do it now. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So...
Miss Marvel? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, Captain Marvel now.
Sorry, I know.
Captain Marvel now.
I
Who
know.
knows? Miss Marvel might be in it as well. They've
Could
revealed
be.
a few characters, of course, in the trailer. We got Ryu from Street Fighter. We got Mega Man X. We got Iron Man
Yeah.
and Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Another one that was revealed was Morgan from the Darkstalker series
Tongue twister.
and Captain America. Now, I'll get into stuff that I know about from this, but there is speculation that there will be no X-Men characters in the launch, which I find interesting because that's kind of, in my opinion, the backbone of these fighting games. Because if I'm playing, Wolverine's on my team
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. And when I played the second one, New Age of Heroes, I had, because you could get Wolverine with the bone claws or with the adamantium claws, and it was this. He had the same moveset, so you could technically double up on your Wolverines if you wanted to.
Nice.
So I'd double up on him, put Ryu in there just for the fun of it, and use that combo. So that was a lot of fun. But it's going to be two character based, and there's going to be power ups based on the Infinity Stones. So
that makes sense.
That was interesting. Apparently, you're going to be able to get power ups as well as your moves based on Infinity Stones too. So you can manipulate time, you can get power. So there's a lot of really cool aspects of that. So I'm wondering if Thanos is going to be involved in that, because you can't stray too far. There was an interesting thing at the end of the trailer where it showed what looked like Ultron light up, but then another set of eyes lit up. So I'm kind of trying to still piece together who that could be. So that was interesting to get that to get another fighting game. Another thing they did announce that day as well was the fact that you could download Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on PlayStation 4. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Decisions.
I am sighing for a reason. I went, I think I saw my copy for the PlayStation 3. Found my copy for the PlayStation 3. Popped it in. Found out that there was downloadable content that is no longer available to me. So now I'm like, well that stinks. Yeah, that stinks. So now I'm sitting here wondering, should I get it for the PlayStation 4? Because I'm sure that their online support and stuff like that's going to soon go away for the PlayStation 3.
Right.
Which is sad because it's a fun game. And I'm trying to decide, would I want to get it again?
I mean, I feel like...
Because I enjoy fighting games. I really do. So, I mean, that's a tough one. Or do I just hold out until this game comes out and then get upset that I don't have Wolverine and other characters like that in the roster? So
I mean, that's a you thing. I have other things I'd probably be more interested in, but I know that you really do enjoy the fighting games.
Interesting speculation. What Thor are they going to go with? Or could they possibly have multiple Thors?
Speaking of Thor and Captain America and Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel, I have been playing Future Fight recently.
Oh, you're pushing some of your your mobile games.
I know, I'm a sucker for mobile games.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. I actually have been enjoying that, and they're really good about having all the different versions. They actually have the female Captain America in it. They have both versions. They have Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel. They have so many different, like if there's a version in the comics, they have that version in it. So it's kind of cool, and you can collect comic books and all kinds of stuff in the game. So if you're looking for a fun mobile app,
and you're a comic book fan.
Yes, definitely check out Future Fight.
We are not sponsored by them in any way. She just really likes that game, people.
I do. I've been playing it a lot.
But like I said, the stuff they've shown looks pretty cool. Mega Man X being in it was neat.
Yes.
So there's a few other tidbits here and there that were announced with this PlayStation event that we could cover, but we're gonna leave it up to you guys on, what was your favorite thing that got covered in this PlayStation giant event thing that they did.
PlayStation Experience.
The PlayStation Experience, yes. What was your favorite thing? I'm just gonna end with Parappa the Rapper.
Ugh.
HD.
Do we need that?
Do we not? It's one of those games. I know a lot of people play it. I know a lot of people are fans of it. So it's cool to see it kind of maybe make a reemergence. But as we were saying, if there is a game that we did not talk about that you're excited about, let us know. I mean, we kind of left some stuff off on purpose,
right,
or other announcements that, you could definitely mention on there as well. We're going to move on to one other gaming announcement real quick. They released a trailer for the new Legend of Zelda game.
Yeah.
Which I'm a big Legend of Zelda fan, so I very liked it. It looks interesting. they kind of show that this world looks broken, like that it's not very as prestigious as the past world. So this is interesting on, what's going on here, what's the backstory. And I thought something that also hinted at that was it looked like there was a statue of the Triforce, like the Triforce bird that was shattered. I saw that, and then when it showed the sword, the Master Sword at the end in the logo, it has rust on it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all like tattered and stuff. So interesting on what could that be hinting at something? Could there be more going on there? We'll find out. I just wanted to make sure for the Nintendo fans, since we went very PlayStation heavy today.
Well, it was PlayStation experience.
It was. So, I mean, there was a lot of stuff.
We weren't trying to,
coming out of
leave
PlayStation.
anybody out.
Yeah,
yes.
But just wanted to put that in there, that they tried to throw that in there to be like, hey, by the way, don't forget this.
Right.
So they're staying with PlayStation. Over the summer, there was a game that came out that I bought day one. We're sidetracking for a minute because, and I'll get to why we're doing this. I'll get there. Bought day one, played it, really enjoyed the first few hours of it. Really got into it, had a lot of fun with it, and I'm sure people listening did as well. I played No Man's Sky.
Wah, wah, wah.
And as a lot of people listening to this, or a lot of people on the internet know, that game had a lot of backfire, a lot of backlash from it, and a lot of very unprecedented stuff happened with refunds and just the way the game was handled. That I'm not gonna get into it on that front. I will say I don't own the game anymore. I traded it in, but the reason I'm bringing this up is they are releasing a patch, or have released the patch, depending on when you're listening to this, that adds a whole new aspect of building, of development to the game. And the makers of the game said that they were holding off on saying anything about it because they didn't want to do anything till it was 100% finished.
Maybe they shouldn't have released it until it was 100% finished.
Well, I don't want to steal this from somebody, but somebody else on something I was watching did point out that, you might have just paid $60 for a beta test. So...
And I mean... I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I did warn you.
Here's the thing. If you haven't played the game, it's a very interesting... It basically, you are left in a galaxy of just endless expanse almost. Mm-hmm. And there's generated planets, generated life forms, right. Some being just horrifically, terribly done. But it's randomly generated, and you can go to different planets and name the systems and do all that stuff. The only problem is that's all there was to really do in the game. But now they're setting up to where you can have a home base. You can mine. You can have mining machines set up. You can have stuff to where the game kind of helps you along. You can set up like trading stuff. You can get your own ship. You get your own ship, but you can get your own like bigger ship.
Didn't you say you can also get people and assign them tasks or something?
I believe so, that there is some ability to assign tasks. Now this whole thing has been done, and apparently a lot of people have said it's breathed new life into the game. That a lot of like Steam noticed a increase recently on the play of it. I think this comes at a great time for them because that was an item I did see on a lot of Black Friday sales. Mm-hmm. Here's my thoughts on this though. Did it come too late? Because me being somebody who's bought the game, don't own it anymore, would I go back and buy it again?
I'm going to say if I had bought it, I would not. But me being that I've never bought it before or played it, I probably would, if that makes sense.
It does, but I'm going to continue on another thread of something real quick. A possibility of a future to come, maybe. I'm going to speculate. If they continue to improve this game, there's been plenty of other games that have come out that have been broken from the beginning, mm-hmm. that have turned into better games. I'm going to mention Destiny, but hold on. It wasn't completely broken as a game, but it improved more and more and more and more over time with expansions, with what they did to it. So the game we have now is something that is very different from when you initially started. So that
I feel like Destiny's different though, because Destiny was more marketed as like
It's something
MMO.
that would expand.
Yes, exactly.
So I just wanted to use that as an example of, to show this is a game that had that happen to it. Warcraft is another example. That game has expanded beyond what it originally was. So that's the thing. This game was marketed as this, a completely different thing from what we got almost. Like I said, I'm not going to get into what side I'm on that. I'm sure you might be able to tell from me talking, but that's not the discussion. It's whether in a year or so, would this game be a viable option again for people who were disappointed with it if they keep on putting out content and adding stuff to the game, hopefully free of charge at the, discretion of the fact that, some people feel like they got, robbed or just were not given the full experience.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I feel like they should give, they can tell what you've downloaded
when you played
and
it,
purchased
when
and
you
everything.
played it.
I feel like if they were willing to give the people that have purchased it before maybe this new content for free, or if they or let's say they gave the regular game to them as a free download and then you paid a nominal fee for the new content, then I think they could probably get a lot more people than if people had to go out and buy it again.
That could be a nice little thing for them to do. Who knows if they're going to do it. I think they're very much trying to win back everyone's trust, because I know a lot of people were very upset about the situation that unfolded with the game. Now, in a year or so, this game might be a completely different thing from what we had when we got it initially, which would be cool because it would be them acknowledging and growing something to what it, to a game that it should have been when it came out. But once again, do you feel robbed as buying it when it first came out? Possibly. I'm not, like I said, that's not the discussion I want to have right now. But I just think it's interesting that they're trying to go that route with it. So just wanted to put that in there. That's something that I've been noticing, and that's been in my news feed for a little bit. And I just wanted to kind of voice my opinion on No Man's Sky, which I had a different rant I was going to go on a month or two ago about it, but my opinion sort of softened, I guess, over time with seeing that. I guess I'm saying seeing that they're making an effort is at least better than what I was how I initially felt about the situation. So I guess Hello Games, you're stepping in the right direction. Just hopefully continue down that path. So to close, I hinted at this earlier that, there's apparently a big event in the world of the DC TV shows, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, and Flash.
Yes.
It's a big crossover event. Well, if you're waiting to hear it on here, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I actually had a crossover event myself.
Sweet.
With the people over at Blazing Caribou Studios. I was a guest on one of their shows, which will be coming out hopefully later on this week. I'll put links on our Twitter to it.
Yes.
But what I will be doing is releasing a version of our discussion. They will be releasing it as well on their podcast as well, which is the
Occasional Show?
Which is a show that I guested on after I was on their Trivia Geeks show, which like I said, I'll post a link on Twitter to that. So I'll be on the Occasional Show discussing with their host, Sean Burns, who is the main showrunner of the Blazing Caribou Studios podcast network, as well as Peter Fisher, who is the host for I'd App That on, of course, the Blazing Caribou Studios podcast network. I discussed with them, all the stuff that happened in the DC crossover event, and we decided to make a crossover event out of the podcast. So that was definitely a lot of fun. That will be out later this week, so look forward to that, because that's a very fun discussion, and I really enjoyed working with them. So definitely check them out over at Blazing Caribou Studios. Another podcast I'm going to mention that they have real quick that I actually had listened to recently a lot. If you're a fan of Westworld, which I know a lot of people are, and I know that it's kind of Season's coming to an end. Are they going to answer all the questions? Who's really a robot? Who's not? All these questions and more could possibly be answered on the Brokebot Mountain podcast, which is a great podcast that covers everything to do with Westworld. It's a fan cast. They do a great job on it. Some interesting discussions. It's really cool because once you watch the episode, following it up by listening to that is a good way to kind of relive the episode and maybe pick out some stuff that you didn't notice the first time around, because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't pick up on that they talked about on there that have led me to some interesting theories of my own on this whole Westworld series that has gotten a lot of people very interested. So definitely check them out over there. Once again, that's Blazing Caribou Studios. And of course, I'll post the link when I'm on the Trivia Geeks podcast for my trivia contest and see how much I really know.
Nice.
So that was a lot of fun. I guess we're going to wrap stuff up today. What's the best ways to get a hold of us at Zeng This?
Well, you can go to Facebook, Zeng This.
Give us a like.
Twitter, Zeng This.
Give us a tweet.
iTunes, Zeng This.
Give us a 5-star review. We'd appreciate it.
Instagram, Zeng This Podcast.
Real fun thing about that is we normally post a cool little collage about what the episode would be like. So that's your little hint on Sundays on what we'll be talking about on Monday's podcast.
SoundCloud, Zeng This.
So you can, of course, find us on there. If you do not have a Apple device, so that's a great way to do that. We are also now on Google Play as well and Stitcher. So there are plenty of different ways to find us. If you want to support the channel, you can, of course, go to patreon.com/zingness. We have some stuff on there you can check out as well. As always, all of the music on the podcast has been done by DJ Golden Boy 89, and we just want to thank you guys for, coming out and, listening to this. We had like I said, there was a lot of stuff to talk about. So this episode was mainly just current events because there was a lot of stuff. But, I mean, this week's going to be full of a lot of other fun stuff. You're going to get the crossover episode of Zing This and the occasional show, mashing it up, giving the crossover on the crossover. So that's awesome that we're going to have that. And also I'll be on Trivia Geeks, which, as I said before, I'll make sure to post the link on our Twitter, which, of course, as always, is at Zeng This. Want to just thank you guys again for listening to us here on the podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.